This is a Buddhist temple, the inner sanctum of a new fighting art. There are now more than 1 million people who follow its teachings and train in its formidable skills.
礼拝し、慎みて天地高の道からナーモ礼拝しさたまつる。我ら主よりこの方、ナーモの加護をられるべし。
These young men have come here to study, training to be masters and missionaries for the sect. The temple complex where they live is large, a modern version of the traditional layout. The huge halls are only filled by followers on special days. During most of the year, the 40 students and staff use only a small fraction of the space for prayers and fighting practice. The temple is built on Shikoku, a large island about 400 miles south of Tokyo. The students lead disciplined lives. After the dawn prayers, their day is divided between practicing fighting techniques and studying the Shorinji Kempo teachings on Buddhism. They attempt to return to what they think the Buddha actually taught, rather than the beliefs that succeeding generations have added. The religious instruction is by a Buddhist monk, Master Suzuki.
本来仏教というものは釈迦がゴータマ・ブッダが説いた時には生きている人間が自分の努力を少しずつ積み重ねてその自分の中に宿されている素晴らしい霊性というか可能性のようなものを最大限に発揮して生きていてよかったと。少しでも努力をすることによって人生のその真実真理に目覚めることができると。
There are 2 instructors of fighting at the temple, Master Arai and his senior, Master Yamasaki. As well as teaching the students, they themselves practice, always working out new fighting sequences, using the most advanced techniques. Shorinji Kempo teaches that this sort of fighting practice is a form of prayer. This mixture of fighting and religion existed for centuries at the Shaolin Temple in China. There, the Buddhist monks practice fighting, and their techniques are still to be seen in Chinese fighting systems. This new Japanese system is inspired by those monks. In fact, its name, Shorinji Kempo, translated from Japanese, means the fist way of Shaolin Temple. The founder of Shorinji Kempo, Doshin So, based his fighting system on what he believed to be the way that the Chinese monks fought. He also added many techniques from other systems, especially Aikido, Judo, and Karate. The result is a potent fighting art. Most of the students are university graduates who have also studied Shorinji Kempo intensely. They spend 1 or 2 years at the temple, and at the end of that time they emerge as fully qualified instructors. They are not permitted to make instructing a profitable career, so are expected to earn their living in other ways. They pay fees to study here. Many of them work part-time on the premises doing office work. Others take jobs in the local town, often working in restaurants in the evening. Most of the students are Japanese, and all of them must have black belts in Shorinji Kempo before they enter the temple. When they've warmed up, they try short sequences of fighting moves with a partner. The Indian style of peaceful salutation reminds them that they must not injure each other. No contact is permitted in practice, but they must strike as close to their partner as they can. The fighting system, the religious beliefs, and the rules still governing the lives of his followers were all laid down by Doshin So before he died in 1981. His memorial statue looks out over the vineyards and rice fields of the island of Shikoku. It was important to Doshin So that his headquarters should be far away from the centers of sophisticated life. He felt that anyone who wanted to share the experience of the temple should be prepared to make a pilgrimage to it. He also planned that the students should cut themselves off entirely from their previous lives. Their time at the temple should be dedicated to living the complete Shorinji Kempo philosophy, and this would be easier for them in the simple country society of Shikoku. The governor of the island sympathized with these ideas and made it possible for enough land to be given to Doshin So to provide a site for the temple. The local community was also pleased, since it created work and income for them. The willing performance of humble tasks is part of the teaching in Buddhism that the students are given. They do all the menial work at the temple. They give up everything to serve the organization, behaving as acolytes, humbled before their seniors. Not only must they do their work, they must do it perfectly. Not even a leaf must be allowed to escape. Every day the students spend about 2 hours keeping the temple clean, about 3 hours in fighting training, and about the same studying the theory and practice of Buddhism.
かなり想像やその後の禅宗発達史の経過を踏まえた上で、俗高僧伝によればですね、バラカ海峡を越えて、それから
As well as Buddhism, they study the life story of Bodhidharma, the Indian monk who, according to legend, went to the Shaolin temple and there taught the Chinese monks fighting techniques.
関東ここへ上陸したと。
Doshin So first saw the Great Wall paintings at the Shaolin temple during the 1930s. He was working as an intelligence agent for Japan, studying Chinese martial arts as part of his cover. These paintings of Indian and Chinese monks practicing fighting techniques inspired him to try to create again both the system of fighting and the lifestyle of the monks.
状態をもっと大きく使おう。手だけになってるから大きく。
Doshin So studied the paintings and copied techniques from them. He also used the ancient Hindu symbol of fruitfulness that Hitler perverted as the swastika.
手が死んでる。張って。
はい。
The mural shows that besides using ways of striking, the Shaolin monks were taught that by twisting and jerking the hand, wrist or arm, a man could be thrown. Even if he didn't hit the ground, an attacker could be kept at bay by putting a lock on.
道具低い低い。
The mural was painted in the 18th century, about 1,000 years later than the legendary teachings of the Chinese by Indians.
あとどうフォローするかっていうのはこの体ですっとっていくわけ。
As far as possible, the life shown in the Shaolin temple mural has been recreated for the students.
あるかな。過激になったらもう終わりよ。これじゃダメです。ではもうすると食の段階でこう入っていこうとするとね。挟んで取ろうとする。もしくは足一本出しといてから取ろうとする。二動作にも三動作になってね、手間がものすごくかかってるわけだ。実際はどうするかっていうと、行った時に引くのと入るのがもちろん入ります。引くのと入るのと一緒です。ガッと引き込む。時にこれじゃ効きようがないよな。だから引き込みながら、落ちながら、引き、打ち、挟み、さらに下に打ち込む。と落ちるという状態。ね、巻き天秤にちょっと変化してみよう。軽くバーンと落ちるかどうかというね。その間の取り方。
The Shorinji Kempo temple is set on a hill above the small town of Tadotsu. At the end of the war, when Japanese society collapsed, the gangsters of the black market terrorized towns like this. Doshin So also lived by trading in the black market, but without violence against the general public. He led teams of vigilantes against the gangsters and cleaned up a number of towns. In the process, he tested and refined his fighting system and got involved in politics. It was in Tadotsu that he first started teaching Shorinji Kempo. His first big dojo is still in use in the town. There, the townspeople and their children train regularly with the students from the temple. In the beginning, Doshin So did not plan to create a large organization. He intended to be a teacher of his interpretation of Buddhism. However, he found he could attract young followers by teaching them fighting and then move on to philosophy. His first dojo was a small room in his house, with just enough space to teach one student while the others watched through the doorway. He taught a vigorous Buddhism, encouraging his followers to stand up for themselves and fight back, a very attractive message at a time of post-war humiliation. The movement has also been a financial success, helped by the fact that in Japan, a religious organization is exempt from taxes. The untaxed income from over 1 million followers is substantial. The children learn under the same rigorous discipline, the same basic techniques as the adults. Although the children don't use much force on each other, many experts disapprove of twisting young wrists or applying any pressure to growing joints.